For a while now, I think driver has been one of my main problems as to why I've not been scoring that well. I've taken a little bit of a lesson and I want to take you through the steps that I've got and do a little bit of a test to show you how I'm improving the big stick. So I've come down to Kilmarnock Brassey and I'm just going to play a few golf holes here. I'm also going to head to the range and talk a little bit about my stats as to what I've been seeing out on the golf course, how I've improved it, and then, like I say, I want to put it to a little bit of a test to see if we actually are getting better, because I just don't think I've been driving it anywhere near like I should. This hole here is a 320 up to the front and it's widely open. I should hit a nice one down here, hopefully, he says. Nope, I've hit a big pull left. And do you know what? I didn't even do the thing that I should be working on. Oh dear. Right, let's get into it. So a good distance with that drive, but wildly offline. Not a bad little pitch. Bit tame. Bit tame. So the reason why I think my drive has been a problem, when I look at the In the Red series and how I perform with my driver, it just doesn't match what I see when I'm playing with friends, maybe socially, or even when I'm actually testing golf clubs out. I tend to find I hit it further, I have more confidence, I swing it faster. And when I am playing out on the golf course in these In the Reds, I feel like I'm leaving myself sometimes too much to do, as where if I got it a little bit more in the fairway, and if I got it, 10, 20 yards further down the fairway, even if it was in the semi, I feel like I'd be going in with, shorter clubs, which is going to be a little bit easier. Now, I need to have a look at some of the data to find out actually how I am performing with driver, because what I think needs to be backed up. If I think that I'm performing well, I need the evidence to show me that. If I think I'm doing it poorly, I need the evidence to show me that. So let's take a look at some of my shot scope data from my previous rounds and see then how that marries up to what I think I'm seeing out on the golf course.
Now, one of the things that I talked about was not being confident in the shape that I'm hitting and almost seeing too much shape. And that does show because the actual percentage of fairways that I'm hitting is 27% with the drive. And if we looked at a Tour Pro, we'd probably see that they'd be into the high 60s. Just is nowhere near good enough for me to be at 27% when those guys are up at those high 60s. I'm seeing that I'm 33% in the left rough and 33% in the right rough. Again, just not good enough when I'm actually in the fairway. I've only made one bogey in the rounds that I've played, as opposed to seeing more of the bogeys come from being in the rough or even the penalty shot. Again, a lot of pars from the fairway and more birdies coming from the fairway. So it is imperative that I can get into the fairway, because A, you're just going to have more control because you're going to have less grass in between the face and the ball when you are striking it from the fairway. And also there's less trouble there. You're less likely to lose a golf ball and you're less likely to not have a bad lie when you're in the rough. As opposed to the fairway. One of the other things that I talked about as well is distance. We're seeing that my average is actually down at 278. The longest is 323, but that average is 278. When I talk about me using the driver in tests when I'm doing club reviews, ball reviews, I am seeing that I'm into that high 290s and even into the 300s when I'm getting those carry numbers. So my performance to be down at 278, which includes roll as well, it's just not good enough. If we look at some of the rounds, i.e. the Island Golf Club, my average driving distance was 280 yards. When we went to St Anne's Old Links, even though I did get into the red then, I was again 280 yards, which it's just not, it's not great. It's not good enough at all. So it's something that I've got to work at with the round from Hillside, 266 yards. So if we're looking at that 278 average, and we look at sort of the 300 that I'm carrying it when I'm doing testing, when I'm swinging freely, when there's no real repercussion, even that distance is massive, because if we think 40 yards difference, that's the difference of me stood with a pitching wedge in hand as opposed to maybe an 8-iron, a 7-iron. It's nearly 4 clubs difference. So if I have got a 7 or an 8-iron in my hand versus a pitching wedge, I'm not going to be able to hit it as close with that 7 or 8 iron as I should do with a pitching wedge. It's not going to be as easy a task for me. So that fairway percentage and that distance is something that I want to work on. And here's how I've done that in a lesson with my dad. So what is it that I've been working on to actually get my driver better? Luckily, we've got Dad on hand who I had the lesson with, and you're going to tell them what it is that we've changed to make me try and get the driver going.
Certainly, yeah. Well, if you address it there for me, Matt. So your tendency, like many of your viewers, you were tending to get a little outside with your path, which is also a little steep, so your angle of attack is coming down on the ball,
Yeah.
which tended to squeeze it.
Yeah.
But of course, if the swing path, the direction the head's travelling, you're swinging left, but you've got the club face a little open to that path,
Yeah.
you know, you're going to cut it. If you've
Yeah.
got the club face square to that path, you're just going to hit those straight pulls. But the tendency, I say, is to come slightly over. Now that obviously differs from player to player. Some of the high handicap players will be coming a lot steeper, causing that horrible slice.
Yeah.
Other players, you know, in a small sense, you can get that nice little fade. But in your case, it was the pulls.
We've had 2 changes then. Read sort of my data. 1, angle of attack. What were we looking for? Obviously I was down there. I think I was around about level with my angle of attack.
Yeah.
What have we done to make it so I'm on the up a little bit more now?
Well, what we did, obviously, I gave you that feel of changing your path here. So if you could address that. We wanted 2 or 3 things to happen now. I wanted you to attack it a little shallower, a little bit more from the inside, so the club head's travelling in level or lower.
Yeah.
In fact, even hitting it more on the up, we know if we're hitting it more on the up, you're going to reduce the backspin on the ball and carry it further.
Yeah.
In your case, what we were trying to do was get the path just slightly out to the right.
Yeah.
You know, just slightly more inside.
Yeah.
With the face just a hair left of that, so the face is just marginally close to the path.
Yeah.
And hitting up, and that's giving you that little draw. Don't forget, obviously, what launch monitors have told us, you know, is the more you hit up on the golf ball, the more the club can be curving left. So you need to adjust for that.
Yeah.
The arc, and get the arc feeling like it's going out a little bit more to the right.
So you'll feel the club down here, and then setup change.
Setup change, we'd squared the shoulders up a little bit, we'd tilted your spine and eye line a little bit back, so your eye line here might feel a little bit more to the right. You're trying to, you know, from a visual point of view, try and hit the inside corner of the ball. You know, if you're seeing it as a clock face, depending on how you view that, you know, if this was 12, this was 6, you're hitting it more at 4 or whatever, but just hitting that inside corner of the golf ball a little bit more, trying to sweep it up and off, so pick it off.
Eye line behind a bit, little tilt of spine, and then for me, feeling I'm coming in at about 4 or 5 o'clock.
Yeah, you're just collecting it slightly from the inside, which hopefully is going to improve the shape, reduce the backspin. Get those little draws.
That was a tiny bit toey.
Slightly toey, but
I got maybe a bit too much up on it. My angle of attack then was actually 9.5 degrees on the up.
yeah, so that's a lot.
Yeah, a bit too much. So it's nothing crazy, and nothing that not what a lot of people are working on. And it's just trying to get those feels for me when I'm out on the course now. It's getting used to feeling that I'm aiming a little bit more down the right and actually trusting to swing it down from the inside as opposed to that over the top, because that's where I think I struggled mostly when I've been playing out on the course. But let's just hit one more.
I'll also just interrupt you as well as a little image off, and I'll say to students, imagine you were hitting into a screen or a similar screen like this. Imagine you're going to hit it into the top right corner of the screen, whereas normally, obviously, the folks are playing badly, they're squeezing it and hitting into the bottom left corner of the screen.
Good point.
So you're imagining you're going to hit it down
Top right.
the top right or the outside lane of the freeway, as it were.
Right. Let's hit one more, then we'll get back to the golf course. Two slightly toey ones, but I know what I've got to be working on. One other change that I have made as well after having my lesson is actually the driver that I'm using. I was using the Cobra for quite a while with the Ventus TR Blue in it. Now what I've done is I've switched back to my Titleist driver, but I've actually put a Ventus TR Black in there. This is a slightly stiffer shaft, a slightly heavier shaft. And my reasoning for doing this is actually that I want to have a club that I know that I can't just poke it down there, try and sort of ease off it and hit a little cutty fairway finder. I want to have a club in my hands that I know that when I stand there and swing it, I've got to be committed. I've got to put some swing speed in there instead of just trying to nurse it round there. So having that slightly heavier, that slightly stiffer shaft, I think is going to help me as well, along with the changes that we've just seen there. So let's find out now on the course how it goes.
So we know now what I've had to work on, trying to get a little bit more on the inside, trying to get a little bit more on the up, and almost just embracing that draw swing. So we're going to put it to the test now. I'm going to have 5 golf balls down here on the 4th hole of the Hill House course at Kilmarnock Brassey and see if I can actually trust it, because the hole itself requires me to commit to my drive. Gorse down the left, there is gorse down the right. The fairway is about 30 yards wide, but I want to see if I can just commit to this new swing, because in practice I'm starting to see that I am driving it quite well, but under the gun now, under a little bit of pressure, have these changes actually helped me, and are they working? Let's give it a go. Also want to see if that distance goes up as well. I think a pass for this test would be 3 out of 5 on the fairway. I'd be pretty happy with, and not really seeing any of that big slicey sort of shot. I'm almost trying to see the draw here. So for me now, I'm aiming just down, just off the middle right of the fairway, and trying to get a little bit of draw. Feel that almost closed stance it feels to me, and trust just being on the inside and the up. Well, that is a roaring start. That is literally split in the middle. I tell you what, if I drove it like that every day, I'd be happy. Definitely seeing a much straighter flight when I'm getting this right. Right, ball 2 on the inside, trust the draw. Pretty much identical location to the first one, slightly right of it, but it's another fairway, safely hit, feeling committed. Still feels slightly odd with the setup, but I suppose that comes in time. That'll be an interesting one. It's drawn down the middle, maybe just a tiny little bit too much draw. Took a vicious kick. So that is a fairway missed, but I'm actually not that unhappy with that one, because I'm seeing that shot. I'm seeing the right to left there. It was well struck. Ball speed was up there, 170, and the carry was 303. So it's good. It's not a bad one. It's not that horrible, weak, fadey one. So I prefer that as a miss now, but let's get back to it. Let's see if we can get another one on the fairway. Just got to commit to that path being a bit more to the right. Oh no. And that is just down the right side. That was I would say one of my worst ones. So missed the fairway there on those last 2. That one was a bit annoying. It was a little bit uncommitted, probably because of that previous one that I haven't hit the fairway with. Even then, it's 289 carry, and it's only a slight push, so it's not that much in trouble. It's not horrific as where the bad ones before we were shaping loads and really lacking a lot of distance. So let's get this one down there. Let's stay committed to this swing. I know the feeling I want. Trust the process. Oh, there we go. Down the fairway, just down the right side. Big bounce, and it's down there. So got the one here that's missed the fairway left. We've then got one that's well down there, another one here, and another one here that are in the fairway, and then the other one was just pretty much level, but just a straight push there. So 3 in the fairway, and even that one that was left and the one that are right are still up near these, and they're not actually that bad. I've still got good distance, which means I'm going in with a shorter golf club.
So a successful test there, and actually seeing the flight that I want to see, that tiny little draw, making the committed golf swings and not actually just holding back and trying to steer it down the fairway. So that's a real positive, and definitely having that slightly stiffer driver shaft, I think, made me want to try and commit to actually swinging a little bit faster. But now it's time to actually take it to the golf course and see if I can carry on these things that I've learned in my lesson and seen in those tests there. Can I actually get that going into the next episode of In the Red? It is coming very soon. It's from Prestwick, and I must say it was one of my best driving rounds that I've had in a long time, so make sure you stay tuned to that. But overall, just wanted to share with you what I'm trying to do to make my driver swing a little bit better, and I think the things that I am working on a very similar to what a lot of you guys watching there will probably be working towards as well, trying to not get over the top as much, trying to get a bit more on the inside and actually being a little bit more committed. But I think the good thing about it all is that I'm able now to draw a line in the sand and see where I was with my data and actually see what it's like going forward. So I'm very excited to see what that's going to be like moving forwards. Guys, thanks for watching. Stay tuned. Episode of In the Red coming very soon. We'll see you in that one. And if you haven't seen any of the others, just click one of the videos here to give it a watch.